Hello, I'm Taku Satoh. I do a lot of design work, and today I'm going to talk about what happened when I was a child. Something that happened when I was a child. The reason why I'm talking about it was such an insignificant event, but still, my life greatly changed because of it. I feel that I've changed compared to before the event occurred. I feel that now, which is why I'd like to talk about. So, actually, it involves a clock. On our wall in our house, we had a clock. And when I was in 6th grade in elementary school, so I must have been 12 years ago or so, it was in the later half of the 60s. And actually, Japanese homes are very small. So we had a clock on the wall. And that clock in the wall, one day, it broke. And my mother said, she came to me, and she had the clock in her hand, and she said, the clock broke. And then my father was next to us, and he says, give it to me, I'll fix it. So he went off, he took the clock off to fix it, and my father was working on it, and at that time, I was in the 6th grade in elementary school, so I loved to go outside and play, so I went outside to play. And then, I came home in the evening, and then what I noticed was the clock was not on the wall. It was just on the desk, left there. Which meant, I knew it in a second, I knew that my father was not able to fix it. I knew it. At that time. If you're a young boy, what do you think I did in such a situation? I thought, I'll fix it myself. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because father and child, it's like we're rivals. So if my dad can't fix it, I've got to fix it. So especially for boys, they love machines, right? So I saw the clock and I said, I'm going to fix it. So my father, when he started to try to fix it, he tried to take it apart. He tried to take everything apart. So I thought, if I tried to do the same thing as he did, I probably couldn't fix it. So, he has more experience than me. He's my father, but he couldn't fix it, so I can't do it the same way that he tried to do it. So I knew that. So, first, I thought, in what situation did it break? And if I figure out the cause, I think that'd probably be the best way to do it. So it was on the wall. So I looked at the wall where it was on, and I noticed that one of the screws, it was normally stopped on one of the screws. But when I looked at the screw on the wall, I understood what happened, that the screw was facing downwards. So due to its weight, the screw must have bent downwards, and then the clock must have slipped off and fell off the wall. So I just looked at the screw, and I figured out that due to the weight, that slowly but surely the screw must have been bent downwards, and then it just fell off. So the clock just went straight down and hit the ground. So it probably didn't roll around. It just went straight down, fell straight down to the ground. So of course, at the bottom of the clock, it hit the ground, the floor, the bottom. And then I look at the clock, and I normally didn't notice it, but actually, from the bottom, there's a metal rod. And this rod hit the floor, and then it was pushed up. And I noticed that. And then I turned over the clock, and I took off the lid. And I was looking at the metal rod, and I was seeing where the metal rod went to. And this metal rod was pushed up. So where did it go into? What was it pushed up into? And I thought that that's what must be the cause, is wherever it went into. So I saw a hole, and I figure out where it went up, and we see that it's clear next to a screw. But I thought that probably it's not going to put a lot of pressure on the screw. So I kept wending up and seeing where the rod goes. And I found a place where finally I saw where the rod hit something else. But you would not normally figure this out just by looking at it briefly. But I looked very closely. And then there was 0.3 millimeters. The part of the clock was bent. It was just bent, just very small. So when I fixed it, I said, ah. And I said, tick tock, and the clock started working again. And I thought, wow, I did it. I won against my father. I did it. He couldn't do it, but I did. At that time, when a problem occurs, and you're looking for where is the cause, and you're trying to figure out what's impacting what, and then naturally you think about this, but at that time, this is a big experience for me. In your family, it's quite a small, insignificant thing in the family, but to me, this was very important, very significant event for me. So at that time, the that I felt, it's when you figure out what the problem is. In our normal lives, there's a lot of ahs, I think, around us. For example, when I'm doing design work, and I have an idea, and when I recognize the idea, and I go, oh yeah. In Japanese, we say ah, and this is the hiragana ah. It's the ABCA. It's sort of like ah. So this ah moment, there's many different types of these ah moments. And each of these many ah moments are probably very small things. Very small ah. But this very small thing, normally you would probably overlook it. But here's Saturday morning, this morning, 7 a.m., for 15 minutes, I do a program for children, design and for the children, a lot of times they experience this feeling. And I think that these children really cherish these moments. And you don't yet have the words yet when you have this moment. Your brain hasn't started working yet to get the words. And then after you have the moment is when you start getting the words. You start making it into a language. And then you start thinking, why is it that I start thinking But before you have the words for this, you're probably feeling this within your whole body. You're feeling this moment through your entire body. And it's just a very short moment, this moment. But maybe this could help change your life or future. And I think everyone's probably experienced this every day, maybe. For example, when you're going home and you can say, maybe I can go home a different way. It's still an And of course, you're busy. So of course, you tend doing the same things every day. But maybe I can say, maybe I can go to that store today. That's another type of And when you go to that store, then you're able to find new things. A new world could open up for you. That's an This way of thinking, that you get all of your senses and you feel this and we have this opportunities many times in our daily lives. And in the current society, this moment, I think this is not really being fully utilized that much in our current society. For example, you have a goal, right? You set a goal. And in order to do this goal, you think about the process to meet the goal. And then you make progress toward your goal. And through this process, halfway through, you meet things which you weren't expecting. And then you may have an moment. Maybe I could do this and it would be better. But when you think that at that moment, but a lot of times this is not allowed in the world because you had the originally set goal, original set process. So you have to do it that way. So even though you may have an moment, you think that, I can't go that way. I have to do it as it was, you have to follow the rules. So maybe we have a earthquake tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but there's a lot of ahs where we are ignoring and we just seem to be following the rules. So we're sort of like stuck. And I think that maybe this could help us by utilizing these ahs, that we could get out of this block that we're in. So I think children experience ah, adults experience ah. There's many different ahs out there, probably within our daily lives. So you probably experience this ah moment many times within your daily lives, every day. So if you counted this up, maybe the more ahs that you have, the more happy that you may be, is what I thought. For today, it was a very simple message. I do many different types of design, but this ah moment for me helped me, and I think that you can help create the future by utilizing these ah moments. Ah moment. Let's cherish these ah moments, is what I would like to propose to you. Ah, thank you.